Hello, and welcome back to our setting up two machines in VirtualBox. Let me bring over the VirtualBox console. You can see I named the machines in VirtualBox Uganda 1, Uganda 2. Now that's just the title of the machine in VirtualBox. It's actually not the computer name. Let me show you what I mean by that. When I go to Uganda 1, I'm going to type in name, and it will bring up, excuse me, view your PC name. And you can see Windows will give it a name that is randomly generated. In this case, it sees that it's a desktop, not a laptop, and then gives it a random number. So let's rename this PC using this method, and we will call this Uganda-1. So we'll click Next. And we'll restart that machine. Now on Uganda 2, I'm going to go ahead and find the name a different way. I'm going to type CMD, and then I will type in host name, one word. Let me see if this will let me make that a little bigger. It does. Okay. So I will press enter, and you can see Uganda 2. It's really tiny up there at the top. I'm sorry about that. You'll have to see if you can zoom in on that. The user is Uganda user 2 because I created that user when I created the machine, and it has a randomly generated name. So let's go ahead and we'll rename this machine as well. So, and I just typed rename and it comes up with the same thing. So let's go ahead and rename this computer. We're going to call it Uganda 2. Next. And we'll restart this one now. So there'll be some interesting information we see here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up a command prompt. And I show you how to do things with the command prompt because that'll work with an old Windows 7 computer or Windows 8, 8.1, Windows 10, Windows 11. And I'm going to type in on this side. Let's make this just a little bigger as well. It'll let me. It did on the, oh, here, that's what it does. Sorry. I actually hold down the control key and scroll the mouse wheel up and down. So on Uganda 1, I'm going to type in ipconfig. You may remember this from one of our classes or YouTube video. And on Uganda 2, let's do the same thing. I'm going to get these so they're a little more side by side. So they're sharing a little bit better. Here we go. Now what you're going to see, we'll type in CMD here, and I will type in ipconfig, make that a little bit bigger, press enter. You'll notice both of these machines have the same IP address, 10.0.2.15. It's the same on both. What I'd like to do is I'm going to see if I can do this while the machine is running. I'm not sure. I'm not as familiar with VirtualBox. I use other virtualization machine or technology. So you can see it is attached to, when I click on network here, again, I went to do that one more time. I clicked on machine, I clicked on settings, click on network. Now I'm going to choose bridged adapter. Okay. And I'm going to press OK. Over here on the other machine, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to settings, choose network, and I'm going to choose bridged adapter. Now over here, you'll see on this machine, sorry, it came off screen just a little bit there. Okay. It asks me, do you want to allow your PC to be discoverable by other PCs in the network? And we'll say, yes, we do. And we'll hit OK over here. And it should do the same thing. Well, let's see what happened if it gave us a different address dynamically here. Oh, it looks like it did. And that's good. Now remember, over here on Uganda 1, I'm going to choose yes because I switched it into bridged mode. And what bridged mode means is it's going to get its IP information off the host network. You can see it has IPv6 mixed in with it here. Let's go over on this side and look at what address we have. Okay, so now what you'll see right here, you can see the IPv4 address is 192.168.6.164. On the left side, you can see we have 192.168.6.65. And so we have unique addresses, which is a good thing. And what I'm going to do is also show you on the computer that is hosting these two virtual computers. I'm going to bring up a third dialog box. I know that gets a little confusing. I'll overlap it here. And let's make it bigger. Let's type in IP config here. You can see, you'll have to look, I have multiple addresses here, but you'll see that we are 192.168.5.135. Okay, so we're on a different network. However, our network default gateway is the same, 192.168.4.1. And you can see on Uganda 2, 192.168.4.1. That's the address to get out to the network and get to other networks. So this is 192.168.4.1. Okay, so let's see if I can ping from Uganda 2. I'm going to see if I can ping Uganda 1, which is 192.168.6.165. It looks like it's not going to let me do it. I may need to reboot to get this to work. So we will do that. I was hoping that would just work right away. Let's try it the other direction from Uganda 1 to Uganda 2. So let's ping 192.168.6.164. Yeah, we can't ping yet, even though we said we're discoverable. Let's go ahead and see if a restart, I think that's what it is going to take. Let's restart. And we will restart both these machines. Now, in this class, if you don't have an i7 processor or an i5 with at least 16 gigs of RAM, I wouldn't try to even take this class like they recommended at the beginning of the class, because it takes a lot of computing power to run these two virtual machines. Or if they have another option for you to use a virtual lab, I would try that if you have the connectivity. And now these machines are coming back up. So here is, I'll open the command prompt on both. Uganda 2 is back up. And let's bring back up Uganda 1. And I'll bring up the prompt on both. I was hoping this would be, let's let it, this is one of the neat tricks you can do with Windows 11. It'll let you split them between the two. So let's look at the IP address on Uganda 1, IP config. There we are. And one thing I do in practice is I go to my network settings and I scroll down and go to, I think it's in the hardware connection. No, it's not. Sorry. That just tells you what it's about. Network internet settings. Let's go to the properties. And we'll click on edit. We do know it's DHCP, that's fine. What I want to do is shut off IPv6. And I always struggle to remember where they hide these. Let's see if it's in change adapter options. Here it is. So remember that, change adapter options. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to go to properties, and I'm going to shut off IPv6. And what it does is it'll clean it up so that, and we'll do it one more time over here so you can see it. Right click on the network connection here. Choose network and internet settings. Change adapter options. Right click on the Ethernet connector, and then uncheck IPv6. What it does is it will, when you do an IP config, for example, you just see IPv4 and not all that IPv6 stuff. It's just a lot cleaner to look at. And in this exercise, we're not using IPv6. So you can see we still have 65 and 64. So let's see if I can ping 65 from here. 192.168.6.165. It's interesting, still not letting me ping. I'm going to take a look and see what File Explorer will show me on my little network here. Oh, let's turn on file sharing. So you can turn on files. Oh, and you can see, I can see myself. Oh, I can see both of them. So we're in good shape there. So the ping is being blocked by the Windows firewall, is what's happening here. So let's open up the File Explorer on Uganda 1. And when you click on network, it will come up and prompt you. You can also go turn on the sharing, network sharing. So let's go ahead and let's open the network sharing center so you can see what that looks like. That's interesting. It doesn't really take you to the sharing center. So let's actually do the searching for it. Let's go network sharing center. That's what we wanted to say. That's interesting. You have to type the whole thing out. It doesn't look like, yeah, it's not going to give it to me. That's fascinating. Well, we'll go ahead and open the sharing center from here. And it still does the same thing. Let's go to the, oh, here it is right here. I'm sorry, that's just me being tired. Network sharing center, so it does take you here. Sorry, Beth was calling. So now what we're going to do is take a look at the advanced sharing settings right here. And you can see you can turn on file and print sharing right here. I'm going to be interested to see. Let's see what the automated sharing turned on for us. So let's go down here to our sharing center, and we'll go to advanced sharing. Remember, on this machine on the right, we did we just let the prompt do it for us. So on the public network, it is turned off network discovery. And since we're not part of a larger network, let's leave it set this way, and let's see if it works. Let's see if it lets us browse the other computer now. So one we did through the little prompt. Now I'm going to go to my network here, and I'm on, remember this is Uganda 2. I'm going to double click and see what it shows me with Uganda 1. Give it a minute. And we'll go over here on Uganda 1, and I'm going to double click on Uganda 2. It prompts me for a password. So I'm going to turn on. It's interesting, it still doesn't think that the sharing was turned on, but it is. And what it's going to do now is it's going to prompt for a username and password. So I will continue this video in a minute, and we will set up the same username on both machines so that you can then share files easily between the two. If you knew Uganda 1's or Uganda 2's username and password, then you could see what's over here. Let's give that a try. It's called Uganda user 2. Okay. And I didn't put a password on it. Let's see if it'll work. Yeah, it has to have a password. So we'll do that in our next video. Thanks, guys and girls. Welcome back. We're going to take this in just a little different direction. Now we can see on the left, we still have Uganda 1, on the right, Uganda 2. We can see that both machines are named Uganda 1, Uganda 2. We also can see we have a user that's called Uganda user 1, Uganda user 2. Now, you could set up those two users on both machines and say those were real users at a business. You wouldn't want to do that with every user to share files. So one thing that I've done in a configuration like this, you click on the file manager, right click on my PC, on this PC, choose manage. It'll come up here in just a minute. There it is. You can see you have local users and groups. So I'm going to go to users and I'm going to add, and you can see we have on Uganda 1, we have Uganda user 1. Let's go to the same place here. Right click on manage. This is a little slow, but it's going to be very slow if you're using a machine that has only 8 gigs of RAM, but just be patient. We'll go to the users here, and you can see over here on Uganda 2, when I set up the machine, I set up Uganda user 2. I'm going to add another user. So if I right click and choose user, I'm going to create a user called FileShare. Just one word. And I'll put a description that says use for sharing files. Just a description. Password, I'm going to make this very easy. I'm going to call it Uganda. And I will not require a password change. And I might mark it, I'll just keep it at that. So I'm going to call this Uganda and create the user. Close. Now, on Uganda 1, I'm going to do a new user, and I'm going to call it FileShare. Same password, Uganda. We're not going to require them to change the password, and I will create the user. Now we will close. So what I'd like to see is I'll just show you what it lets you see. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and close this window. And let's double click on Uganda 2. So what you're seeing here is, since I have over on Uganda 2, or excuse me, I clicked on the run. Let's click on Uganda 1. Sorry about that. Here we go. Uganda 1. Let's double click on that. And it's prompting me for a password. And if I put in here FileShare, and I put in the password Uganda, it's going to let me see Uganda 1. Now, that's nice because people just have to remember that. However, what we're going to do is here on Uganda 2, this PC, I'm going to go ahead and go to Documents. You could share it in Documents, or if you come back to the local hard drive, you can just create a folder here, a new folder called FileShare. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this. And let's see, I don't think in Windows 10 they give you a share item here. So let's click on Properties. We're going to click on Sharing. And I'm going to click on Advanced Sharing. I'm going to say share this folder, and it's called FileShare. And I will click on, oh, look, this lets you limit the number of simultaneous users to 20. If you're in a small office, you could turn this down to, say, 10 or fewer. You don't have to be right on. The thing you're avoiding is you don't want too many people connecting to one FileShare in a small office situation, especially if someone compromised your network. So that limitation is a little bit of a protection. So let's look at the permissions on this. And you can see everyone, we're not going to give everyone rights. We're going to come in and enter in the user FileShare. And so for FileShare, I'm going to allow FileShare full control and click on OK. And I'll click Apply and OK. Now on security, there's two things. There's the sharing security and then the actual security on the folder. So I'm going to go ahead and I won't go into advanced right now. We'll just edit this and we will add a user, and we're going to add the user FileShare. So with FileShare, I'll go ahead and give them all the rights too. I'm going to apply that, click OK. I click Apply in case it pops up with some problem, then I can still have the dialog box open if I want to. So we've done that here. Let's go ahead and go over to our other machine, and let's go and see. We're going to look at that. Remember, this is Uganda 2 here on the right. I'm going to double click on Uganda 2, and I'm going to tell it to remember my credentials, which is FileShare Uganda. So now you can see, I can see the FileShare folder over on Uganda 2. There it is. And so in this FileShare folder, if I were to create something there, let's go into it on Uganda 2. I'm going to go ahead and create a new text document called test, and you can see it pops up right away on the other machine. Test from Uganda 2. And you can see it renamed over here. Now, if I were to go on to Uganda 1, let's go to this and go to the C drive. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to give it a different name. I'm going to call this Uganda 1 text files, not text files. Okay, and that could be called spreadsheets, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the properties again. We'll go to sharing, and I will share it without going to advanced permissions. And I'm going to go to File, Share, and you'll see it gives you, I can do read write. So this is much simpler than I'll share. So here it is. Your folder is shared. Done. Now, if I click on Network over here, and I click on Uganda 1, you can see, oh, Uganda 1 text files. Now I can double click on that. It'll let me in because that same user's on both, and we've authenticated once already. And if you check the box to remember authentication, then you're in good shape. So let's create a new text file called text file on Uganda 1. Okay. Now what you're going to see is when I open it up over here, you can see the text file is here. I created it here from the share over on Uganda 1. So that's how I set these things up. I hope this is helpful and gets you through it. Usually you do this in a very small environment, which might fit you. And the thing about sharing between two of the machines is you have to make sure you're backing up both machines. So what I'll usually do is pick out the best machine, maybe the machine that's the newest, and I'll have all the files shared on that one machine to the other machines. Then I can back up that one machine every day, and I know I've got all the files. If you have files shared across, say, 4 or 5 machines, you've got to make sure you back them up on all 4 or 5. So if one of the machines dies, then you will lose some of your files. Here, you could argue the risk of having them on one machine. If that machine goes down, you could lose your files. However, if you're backing up your files every day off the one machine, you're getting them all, backing them up onto a thumb drive or to a cloud service, you have them there. So that's all for this video. We can get into more sharing in our upcoming Friday meeting. And everyone take care, and I will talk to you later.